Welcome to another Jamie Tries video. In this one I shall be making, for the first time, cheesy mushroom pasta. This is my wife's recipe, although I'm sure many people have their own variation on it. This one is gluten-free, dairy-free, and as such is vegan. So, without further ado, let's crack on. So the first step is to take roughly half a packet of pasta. This is free from pasta, and we have to put it into the saucepan like that. Bit of pasta ASMR for you. Next we'll pour on boiled water to cover the pasta. So let's put this on 6 and then cover that up and allow that to boil a little bit. You'll have to excuse my terminology because if this is your first time here, this is not something I'm particularly used to. I've done one cooking video recently. I'm not a chef or anything like that. I'm an absolute novice in the kitchen, so I'm following the instructions. Hopefully it is easy to follow. Please do let me know any comments or opinions you may have of what I can do better, little tips, you know, and leave them in the comments below. While we're bringing it to a boil, which roughly, according to the packet, will take about 7 minutes, we'll now take our mushrooms and chop them. Now I have asked in advance what I do about cutting them, so I'll just cut them into slices like that. I do like mushrooms actually. I know they're not everybody's favourite. Try not to cut myself. Nearly caught myself there, so you've got to take it slow, you see. Take it nice and slow. Finding it difficult actually to describe or think about. Oh, there we are. So I'll have to turn that down. That is now boiling there, so we've now got to leave that to simmer. Let's just give that a stir. Now I'm wary that last time I did something over a hot saucepan, I nearly burned myself from the heat, so I'm trying to be careful because safety is a priority, especially when you're not experienced at doing it. So just making sure that nothing is stuck to the bottom of the pan. Let's continue cutting the mushrooms, and don't worry, I won't bore you with the whole thing, so let's skip forward a little bit, because if you'll see the bowl of mushrooms that I've got over here, this is quite a lot to do. So let's fast forward. So one more mushroom, and actually this is quite therapeutic, and mushrooms, if you've never cut into them, are quite easy, quite spongy. I think this one, I'm going to try dicing it because my first instinct was to dice it like that. But in terms of speed, I thought it was easy just to cut them in pieces. So let's try some diced ones there. And we'll just put those in this pot. So many mushrooms. This recipe, according to my wife, serves 4 people. So if you like mushrooms, this one is definitely for you. So let's put that knife down. Now we've got to check the pasta, which, as you can see inside here, is bubbling up now. I'm no expert, but I think that's done for this stage. So now I have drained the pasta off camera, and it's time to cook the mushrooms now. So we'll start with 2 tablespoons of oil. A little bit more confidence than last time. Not quite so finicky because it's a tablespoon. So we'll put this on 4, and now I'll knock over the olive oil. That seems like a good idea. Let's just get this around the pan a little bit, like we did with the chili con carne recipe. And if you missed that, do check it out, it's on the channel. So let's take all of these mushrooms that I've just cut up, let's put those into the frying pan. There's quite a lot in there. So now I'm just waiting for the mushrooms to sizzle. I'm hoping that I let the olive oil do its thing for long enough. I'm starting to hear vague sizzling, so I'll start to just move these around the pan a bit. Now I'm supposed to cook these until they start to go brown. Do you like the smell of mushrooms? To me, they often have the stench, certain kinds of mushrooms have the stench of chlorine. I don't know whether anyone else feels that, but that's the vibe I get sometimes. Not that I've been in a swimming pool for a long time, but that's just the, you know, the thing that comes to mind. I do like mushrooms though. I'll just move these around so that they all get cooked, because there's a lot in here. And when this recipe was suggested to me, I did not think that there would be this many mushrooms. I didn't even think I'd be cutting them, you know, just putting them in whole. Maybe 4 or 5 mushrooms or something, but no, this is the amount. I'm just counting to 10 before every stir, just so that I can make sure that all of these are cooked. Oh yeah, really starting to get brown now. When I was cutting this up, this looked like quite a lot, but as you can see now, they get smaller as they cook, they shrink. Interesting. I think I've said in a previous video that I really like the sound and the idea of frying things, because you see it bubbling in the pan there, and there's something so like warming and comforting, I guess. So I'm no expert, but these look about done. What do you think? Let's turn that off and bring the pan over there just to cool off, and we'll go on to the next stage in this recipe. Now we're going to use some corn flour, and as you can see, I tried to get the bag out inside and I've got my fingers now covered in corn flour. I'll wash that off in a moment. So let's go 1 tablespoon and put that in there. Let's now mix that in. So now all the lumps are out of that, so let's take a cup of milk. Now I'm using oat milk for this because this is a dairy-free recipe. Let's just tip that in there. And again, I have to work on my pouring technique because it nearly, slight splosh there, nearly went down. Let's now put this on 4. So now, apparently, I've got to warm this milk through and have to hold it through, and apparently when you feel that you can't hold it there anymore, that is when it's done. There's probably other methods, but yeah, we'll do it with this one. We have to pour this water with the corn flour in just a moment, and then stir it through. And like I say, that makes up the sauce. The cheese bit comes later, so you know, if you're about to comment saying, where's the cheese, that's not cheese, well, don't worry, the cheese is coming. So let's just do one more quick stir through. Put that in there. Now, put that down quickly without breaking the glass. Let's now stir this around quickly so that it all blends together nicely. Trying to stir this even faster just to get rid of the clumps. My wife's words, not mine. And I'm being very wary here not to splash any. I'm worried that if I go too fast it's going to suddenly like splash up, you know, like when water decides in a glass that it's going to like splurt at you, and it's like, I did absolutely nothing to warrant this. You just move the glass like that, just slightly, not quite as jolty, but slightly, and it goes, you know. So that is what I'm concerned about here. But we seem to be okay so far. I mean, at this moment in time, it kind of just visually looks like cream or custard. But trying to do this as fast as I can. I've now turned this up somewhat, because apparently that helps it to go faster. So after a lot of stirring and a little bit of time, it's now thickened up to the correct consistency. So now we can finally move on to the next stage. So it's getting quite hot in here now. I'm feeling very sweaty, and that isn't just because of the food. It's very hot at the moment. It's a bit of a heat wave going on in the UK as I'm filming this. I'm sure many people can relate that in the UK, some people just aren't great with the heat. I'm one of them. I struggle a little bit mentally when this happens. I have to sit next to a fan a lot, you know, do all the usual cooling techniques. So I'm surprised that I am filming this video right now, but it's good. It shows that even when it's hot, it's always good to brush up on some things. So now it's time to put all the seasonings and things in to this. So here I've got some chives and some homegrown cress as well. So we'll just put those in there. About 2 tablespoons is the required. So let's sprinkle in there like I know what I'm doing. Let's go with some more. I do like cress actually. And chives always make me think of you know, the herbs and Parsley the Lion and stuff like that. Let's just try and let's just tip all that in. Now let's put some salt and pepper in. I mean, I know whenever I see people put salt and pepper in, I always think, well, what difference does that make? I think it does make a difference, doesn't it? We'll just mix that in. See, now it looks more like a recipe and less like, you know, I'm making custard or something. I told you the cheese was on its way, didn't I? And now it is. This is new Violife 100% plant-based cheese. This is their Cheddarton, which is a great name. Reminds me of a certain bear from Darkest Peru for some reason. Now I'm supposed to put half in here using a grater, the cheese grater, or just the general grater as I shall call it. Always seems like the most fun kitchen gadget, doesn't it? Because you just grate in. Now I'm supposed to use half of this. I'm a little bit concerned I'm not going to know when I've reached half. I'm making a little bit of a mess of it here because I'm struggling to keep hold of it. But that does look pretty good. It smells quite good too. Let's try holding it without grating my finger. I mean, it really comes apart really easily. Let's have a little stir. I'll do a little jog on the spot while I'm stirring. Get some exercise in. I mean, that looks good enough to eat on its own, doesn't it? Very soon, I'm assuming, we'll put the mushrooms in, and then it will all start to come together. The mushrooms, the pasta. I'm really looking forward to this. Just keep stirring. Just keep stirring. Just keep stirring, as a fish once said. Let's now try and put the mushrooms in without splashing. This pan's quite heavy. I'm doing it at an awkward angle as well for the camera. So now let's mix those in with the cheesy sauce. Coat it all over. This is where the magic happens. So remember this pasta from earlier? It feels like a long time now, but we'll just put this in with that. Oh, bit of a problem there. And like the Princess Diaries, my foot went up as I did it for some reason. Some kind of balancing reflex. But yeah, I will get better at this pouring thing. It comes with time. I see some pasta fall down the side there. I'll fetch that later. That's my supper. That's my supper this evening. No. Right. We'll just mix that in. So we're getting all nice and coated. I'm going to keep stirring. I've now turned the heat off. So after what feels like a long time of stirring, we are now ready to serve. Right, now if you remember with the chili, I had a little bit of an issue with serving this, but let's try and do that. We'll do a few spoonfuls. I'll also try and get my arm out of the way. Look, I'll just hold that there. Let's go for one more. So lastly, let's add a bit more of the cheese on top. So now I'm joined by my wife Andrea to try this. Do you want to go first?
Don't mind if I do.
Okay. Now I apologise for the presentation. The grating of the cheese wasn't very easy. Mm-hmm.
It's really cheddary, that cheese, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah, I can definitely taste that. The mushrooms go really nice with this. I mean, I love mushrooms with anything.
So meaty, aren't they?
But yes, incredibly meaty, and it will be the reason why they're often a substitute for meat in a lot of dishes for vegan recipes. And the pasta is nice and fluffy. I was very nervous about cooking the pasta because it kind of is up there with rice for me, that if you cook it for too long it can go bad, and obviously it can stick to the bottom of the pan if you don't stir it enough. But no, I'm really impressed with that. But then this is your recipe, so well done for the recipe.
Thank you.
That is the cheesy mushroom pasta. Do try it yourself, and if you want to see me try and make other dishes, whatever they might be, please do let me know via social media and in the comments below. Thank you once again for helping me to try this, and thank you for watching.